down November 4th in Philadelphia. They will be having the district attorney's race, the election. One or two things is going to happen. Either the current district attorney, Larry Krasner, is going to retain this position as a district attorney of Philadelphia, or the MAGA Republican candidate, the former Democrat, who is now a Republican, is going to be the new district attorney. Tyrone Bowman Live, welcome to the program. I'm going to read an article from the Philadelphia Citizen, and this article is written by the Philadelphia Citizen staff. Earlier, a couple of days ago, I did an article about Pat Dugan, former judge who lost the Democratic primary earlier this year to Larry Krasner, and he decided to become a Republican to go against Krasner in the general election. The only problem that Dugan is going to have is this. You're going to have to embrace MAGAism and everything that goes along with it. And there's no way in the world they're going to allow him to remain an independent thinking former Democrat. They have a certain political ideology that they want to espouse and build upon, and they want to bring that to Philadelphia as well. Now, who is Larry Krasner? Let's talk about the current incumbent district attorney in Philly. Now, as we're preparing to go to the polls in the upcoming election, you want to make informed decisions. You don't want someone just handing you a pamphlet and telling you who to vote for. Remember, the people who work outside as we enter the polls, they're paid to be there all day long to represent the interests of whatever party. They're not there to help you. They're there to try to persuade you. So this is the DA candidate profile. Philadelphia elected Larry Krasner, district attorney of Philadelphia, with more than 75% of the vote in 2017. During a national wave of criminal justice reform, all listed among DA reformers in Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Krasner referred to himself as a, quote, career civil rights lawyer, end quote. That's one of the pluses he had going into the race for district attorney. During his first campaign, Krasner promised to reduce incarceration rates by ending criminal charges for marijuana possession and prostitution. Let me just say something regarding marijuana. Isn't it ironic how most Black people have been charged, overcharged, and locked up with stiff sentences for weed? That's all it is. Weed. And they got all these corporations now invested in the cannabis business, dispensaries all around the country. You have one within the neighborhood where I work at, they call it organic farms. It's nothing but a weed house. And they have guards out there all day, every time. And the people that I see going in and out of there, they're not Black people. They're of a different persuasion. And they make sure that they protect them. It's nothing but a weed selling business. That's all. And then Black people have been locked up 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, and 40 years for weed. They locked them up for selling Lucy's on the street corner. People have lost their lives by cowboy rogue cops choking people to death because it was simply selling weed, cigarettes on the corner. So don't give me that crap about law and order. And you got more people in politics who smoke weed and everything else. And we're not going to even talk about the prostitution that goes on in politics. Quote unquote, they're staffers who travel with the senator and the congressman and the representatives everywhere they go. So let's get back to the district attorney's race in Philly. So during his first campaign, Krasner promised to reduce incarceration rates by ending criminal charges for marijuana possession and prostitution. He proposed ending cash bail for those facing misdemeanors and or nonviolent felonies. He called for more police accountability. His campaign received $145 million from George Soros through a PAC, a political action committee. So what is the problem? It's George Soros's money. He's a billionaire. You didn't give it to him. If he wants to fund him, he has that right. What about all the white racist bigoted billionaires who have funded Republican candidates anonymously? Don't want their names in the press because they adhere to the political ideology that they espouse. What about the millions and millions and millions of dollars that have gone into these nonprofit organizations under the guise of America First? Nobody says anything to these billionaires, but when a Democratic billionaire decides to give $101.45 million to Larry Krasner's campaign, now there's a problem. What about all the money that Elon Musk gave to the Trump campaign during the presidential campaign season? So this double standard stuff here has got to stop. And that's the reason why I do not have any faith in the so-called major networks, because they're afraid to open their mouths. They're afraid to talk. They're afraid to print the truth. Look how CNN fired Don Lemon, because Don Lemon voiced opposition against what's going on in the country. And those dumb idiots, those asinine idiots over at CNN had to pay him hundreds of millions of dollars for unjustly firing him because of political pressure. And the person who fired him was a stone starch MAGA Republican who was his boss at the time, and he ended up getting fired. So the duality of hypocrisy coming from the MAGA Republicans is sickening. So Soros is entitled to spend his money any way he chooses to. While all of the above progressive DAs have since been voted out of office, Krasner has remained Philadelphia's DA since 2018, having been reelected to a second term in 2021, with 71% of the vote and surviving a 2022 impeachment attempt in the Pennsylvania General Assembly. The only reason why the Republicans want the district attorney's office because they want to espouse that so-called mantra about law and order. They want to lock black people up in an unprecedented fashion, so the imprisoned industrial complex with Republican investors and political investors can continue to make hundreds of millions of dollars. That's why. Has nothing to do about making Philadelphia safe, has nothing to do about accountability on the part of Republicans. They just simply want to bring harsh reality to people and make people's lives miserable. That's all they want to do. That's it. And they don't want black people to come out en masse and vote for Krasner in the upcoming district attorney's election in Philadelphia. Turn it out. Turn it up. Let them know that they can't buy this election. They can't steal the district attorney's election in Philadelphia. And always remember this: the people who cry the loudest about fake news and corruption are the corrupt people and the ones who put out the lying news. I don't even call it fake news. I call it lying news, because that's what it is. Krasner defeated former municipal court Judge Patrick Dugan for the Democratic nomination in the May 2025 primary election, but will face Dugan again in the general election on November 4, since Dugan is now running as a Republican. Reagan did the same thing when he lost as a Democrat and switched to the Republican Party and became governor in California. And the religionists who are always talking about conservative family values and all that kind of stuff, there's nothing conservative about the Republican Party. Nothing. There's nothing conservative about it. It's the racist and bigoted party. And anybody who espouses racist political philosophies, etc., they're welcome into the Republican Party. And the few black people that they have in there, they don't even speak up for black people. Where is Senator Tim Scott? You haven't seen or heard from him at all. During the presidential campaign season, he was everywhere praising the Republicans. And he's the one black senator. Well, he's no brother of mine. And he votes every single time along Republican Party lines. So if you think he's there for you, no, he's there for himself and to enrich himself and enrich his family. That's what he's there for. They will have you believe that Krasner is doing a terrible job as district attorney. No, he's not. He is not doing a terrible job. They just don't like the fact that there's equilibrium coming from out of the district attorney's office. Krasner's time as Philadelphia's DA has been rift with controversy. At the outset, he fired 31 prosecutors, 10% of the city's assistant district attorneys. By the end of his first term, he had that right. He had plausibility factor to fire them. Won't the Republicans do the same thing? They will fire all the Democratic prosecutors if they get the district attorney's office. You're fired. Get out. And bring in all Republican prosecutors and put them in there as ADAs. You've got to look at the big picture, ladies and gentlemen, of what's going on here. People just think they're going in to pull a lever. Let me holler at you for a minute, Daniel. You call me a black supremacist because I love my people? Well, you're a white supremacist. How about that? You're a white supremacist because you're MAGA. You're a white supremacist because you go along with any and everything to hurt everybody in the country. So right back at you, player. You can call me whatever you want. I love my people, and I will continue to stand for my people, whether you like it or not. Now that's the bottom line. The same way that the white, racist, bigoted MAGA people in the Republican Party stand for any and everything that they can do to try to destroy black people in America. So you can call me whatever you want. Just like you have the right to say whatever you want, I have the right to respond in any way that I choose to. So I already know who you are. You're MAGA. You can lie about it all you want. And you have the right. If you want to be a MAGA Republican, that's your prerogative and that's your business. Now let's get back to Krasner. He had a right to fire the prosecutors if he had a concern and reason to fire them. If he's the district attorney, that's his right. By the end of his first term, the inquiry reported 261 attorneys had left the district attorney's office. Some spoke out against the DA because they were Republicans. That's why. Because they didn't want to work under Democrat. I wouldn't work for any Republicans. Now, how about that one? If I was in a political position and the Republicans won, I'd quit. That same day, I'm out. I don't care about the benefits package and none of that garbage. I'm out. I'm gone. Peace. In today's society, you have to take sides. I don't hear anyone saying anything against the KKK. What? The new KKK, they wouldn't dare call themselves KKK members now. They have different pseudonyms and different names, but it's still the same racist, white America first nationalism. Being endorsed, curried, and promoted by the so-called Christian, white Christians in America. That's why I don't fool around with white Christianity. Y'all can have it. I want nothing to do with it. Nothing. Because it's been proven that white Christianity is racist and it's bigoted. And those same evangelical preachers are hypocrites. And they do any and everything to try to hurt those who don't think and believe the way that they believe. We don't have to believe the way y'all believe. We don't have to worship the way y'all worship. You insult our culture. You insult our heritage. You insult our music. but you want our money. You hypocrite, you. And every time one of these people get in trouble, they holler, touch not mine anointed. And a lot of your mega black leaders, evangelical leaders, the majority of them are Republicans. That's why they won't tell you their political beliefs. I'm telling you, they are Republicans. They took the money, and that's why they won't speak out. So if you all want a Democratic district attorney in office, you better get out on election day and handle your business in Philadelphia. Or else Dugan will slip in the back door. I'm quite sure he's gotten a ton of money from the MAGA supporters. In 2018, Krasner made good on some campaign promises. He demoted possession of small amounts of marijuana without a medical marijuana card to a civil, no longer criminal offense. You got to have a miracle marijuana card to buy weed. That's nothing more than economic prostitution. Who benefits from the person getting the marijuana card? I told you about these so-called dispensaries that they call it cannabis. No, it's a weed business. That's all it is. Legalized weed selling, backed by billionaires who have funneled the money into these corporations with various names because they want to control everything that goes on in the world. Krasner did the same for prostitution for offenders with fewer than 3 convictions. His office dropped cash bail requirements for select low-level misdemeanors and felonies. Retail theft, DWI trespassing, theft from a motor vehicle, possession of contraband, PWI, of less than 51 pounds of marijuana, which critics call, quote, modest and restrained, end quote. So he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. You know what happens here in America? When things get hard and difficult, like after the presidential election, then y'all wanted Vice President Kamala Harris to do something. Do what? She told you all what was coming. You didn't want to believe it. I told you all what was coming on this program, but you didn't want to believe it because you fell for the okie doke. You fell for the betrayal. You fell for the lies. And you know who is hurting the most in this country? Farmers are. The agriculture industry has been shot. Who do you think were working on the farms? Mr. Republican farmers, who was working on your farms? Our brother and Latino sisters. The majority of the Latinos voted against their own best interest. You know they did. Don't play with me. When they had an opportunity to have a different president, so the misery, the hardships, the pain, the anguish, the economic inequality that's going on in this nation, the inflated food prices, the inflated gas prices, all the trouble that's happening and going on in this nation right now is because individuals chose racism and bigotry over principles and democracy. Now, what's going to happen in Philadelphia during the district attorney's election next week, November 4th? You have an opportunity to change things. In 2021, Krasner established the Alternative Felony Disposition Program, which instead of incarcerating first-time offenders for illegal possession of a firearm, enrolled them in a half-year program of weekly meetings with social workers, refocusing them on work and school. Well, that program will be eliminated ASAP if Dugan takes office. That program is gone. It's not going to happen anymore. Unless you have been to prison, you don't know what goes on in prison. And the little stuff that y'all see on the news or read about in the papers, you all have no ideas what goes on inside of state penitentiaries. Are there people who deservedly belong there? Yes. Are there people who have committed terrible and heinous crimes and that some deserve the death penalty and many deserve life without parole? Should they be locked up? Yes, they should. There's no doubt about it. Are there wrongfully imprisoned men and women? Yes, there is. I know for a certified fact because unless it happens to you, let me see, someone says don't care. Well, we don't care about that. That's the bottom line. But until it happens to somebody in your neighborhood, your friends, your family, your associates, your relatives, now you want somebody to do something about it. I'm so tired of hearing this stuff like it never happens around here. We've never had this type of crime. Really? Go into the houses of suburbia when the doors are closed. Everything that glitters is not gold, and everything that's green is not prosperous. A lot of suburbanites are suffering horribly behind closed doors every single day, and you know it, and I know it. So, lock them up and throw away the key? Well, that should apply to you if you get in trouble or are falsely accused of a crime. Why is it that the children of rich white people in America, they can go into diversionary programs and they find ways to quietly justify what they did, and they don't have to serve the harsh realities of prison? Look at the young boy who allegedly murdered the former, now deceased CEO of United Healthcare. He comes from a very wealthy family. Who cares? Oh, well, he graduated from an Ivy League university. Who cares? And they're trying to justify and find any reason for him not to go to prison. And everyday people are suffering every day in prison. They're demonized from the time that they're born. And when they try to advance themselves, people have the nerve to get upset. So, do some people deserve to be in prison? Yes. I hear a lot of people talk about black on black crime. Let's talk about black on black crime, white on white crime, Spanish on Spanish crime, Latino crime on Latino crime, Chinese crime on Chinese crime, Japanese crime on Japanese crime. Let's talk about all of it. We're not going to make it one-sided. You deal with the criminality of individuals, deal with it from a whole kaleidoscope, not just from one narrow-minded point of view. That's one reason why I'm in the criminal justice program right now, because they made a terrible mistake. I told them when they did it, you have locked up the wrong guy. You made a terrible, terrible mistake, and I'm never going to let you forget about it. So if you want to know more about it, go over to my channel called Breaking the Chains with Tyrone Bowman. That's my prison channel. And I talk about my experiences and other things as a man who was wrongfully sent to prison. So you darn right, I'm going to be an advocate for criminal justice reform. And those who are real victims of crime, I will fight for them and speak for them. And those who perpetrate crime, I'll become your worst nightmare. Now, you see how that works? I'll become the worst nightmare of people who violate people and do horrible things. The DOA reported the program reduced arrests by 76%, However, in his second term, Krasner decreased diversion rates compared to his previous term and compared to the previous DA. Now, is there a lot of terrible stuff in Philadelphia? You darn right, Philadelphia's got a problem and needs to get under control. Straight up, we not deny it. There's black on black crime, white on white crime, political crime is in Philadelphia, retail theft crime is in Philadelphia, real estate crime is in Philadelphia, briberies are at an all-time high with those who are supposed to be fighting for justice for people. Prosecutors many times get it wrong, but they don't care because they just want a high conviction rate, because they want to advance to a higher office. Many criminal defense attorneys are cowards. They speak mealy mouth, won't fight for their clients. Win, lose, or draw, get in the fight. Even if you lose the case, go down as a fighter. Don't go down as a wimp. Your client would appreciate the fact if you fought for them and lost. But if you just go into court and you mealy mouth, you won't fight for them, you don't speak up for them, and then you just lose the case and you say, well, that's just the system. No, it's not just a system. Open your mouth and advocate for your client. That's what you get paid for, barristers, counselor, advocate. Fight for your client. Over Krasner's 6 years in office, the number of firearm cases withdrawn or dismissed has increased, 67% compared to his predecessors. Through his tenure, Philadelphia's homicides spiked from 355 in 2018 to 526 in 2021. Well, was he out in the streets murdering people? Did he commit the crimes? You can take statistically, you can go to every state, every city, and look at the crime increase rate. Who is responsible for the increase to crime? Criminals. You know, in defense of the men and women who are out here fighting crime every day, legally and ethically and morally, they don't get enough credit for the job that they do. What about the decent men and women in law enforcement who get up every day and do their job with integrity and character? They're never rewarded. They're never singled out. They're never talked about. What about the decent judges who judiciously rule with honor and integrity? They're never talked about. But let one simple-minded corrupt cop do something stupid, and then that's an indictment on all law enforcement. No, shouldn't be so. Wrong. It should not be so. You deal with that individual based upon the criminal acts that he or she has committed. I come in touch with law enforcement every single day as a criminal justice major. There's some other things I'm working on within the criminal justice system that I will not discuss publicly. So the homicide rate declined to 262 in 2024, a pattern that mirrors national trends. In 2024, the DA's office had a 92% trial-ready conviction rate for homicide shootings and an 82% trial-ready conviction rate for non-fatal shootings. However, 46% of cases involving firearms and 50% of violent crime cases were withdrawn or dismissed, according to the DA's data dashboard. Why? Because of plea bargaining. Because of plea bargaining. Man, go someplace with that crap, Daniel. I ain't got time for your stupidity and foolishness. Don't even ask me an asinine question as who died for my people. My people died for my people. It wasn't the white racist revolutionaries who died for my people. My people died for my people. I know my history very well. So you take that BS and you go someplace else with that stupid question. So getting back to what I was saying, when law enforcement does a decent, effective job, rightfully, legally, ethically, and morally, they should be recognized. I have no tolerance and no respect for corruption in law enforcement whatsoever. None. I don't blame it on the dog, don't blame it on alcohol, don't blame it on being stressed out. I don't have no tolerance for it. Because I've seen the too much injustice happen. Me personally, I don't give a damn if I ever get an apology or ever get my record expunged because of a wrongful conviction. Let it stay there. I'll succeed anyway. It does not matter with me. I'll write the books, I'll tell the story, and I'll make it crystal clear as to what happened and fight for those who are wrongfully accused. Now, for those of you who are in prison, stop psychologically telling yourself that you can't succeed, you amount to nothing because you've been locked up. You got more criminals in politics and in business in America than you have in prison. Organized retail theft has consistently and dramatically risen since Krasner took office, mirroring national trends, and that's going on all around the country. In mid-2024, Krasner announced he was abandoning his office's 2018 policy of treating retail theft under $500 as a summary offense. Well, retail theft, stealing is stealing. Stop taking stuff that don't belong to y'all. All these stupid, idiotic videos on Instagram and AI-generated videos of black people and white people riding in the streets because they're not going to get food stamps and SNAP benefits. Y'all fall for the okie dokie if you want to. That's nothing more than a subliminal message to incite you simple-minded people to go out, get yourselves in trouble so they can lock your dumb behinds up and make money off of you. Now go ahead and do it if you want to. Don't even put yourself in that position. Growing up, we didn't have a whole lot of stuff, but we managed and we survived, like most families did. Yeah, don't if they listen, if they don't want to give them, don't give them. Whatever. Stop begging these people for stuff that you need. Grow your own food. Go to food banks. Oh, they got them in the white neighborhoods too. You know, they just don't want y'all to know about them. Oh, they're up there because I visited their neighborhoods, and they're stocked and filled with every wonderful item that you would ever need. And don't think white people won't go hungry. They'll go hungry too, especially down in the southern part of the nation. You got major recipients who receive welfare, Medicaid, Medicare. They're going to be adversely affected as well. The government to shut down is in full effect because one party wants to dominate another. That's the only reason why. Bottom line. That's why it's shut down. Simultaneously, the district attorney's office launched an official retail and house theft task force. The group was charged with going after prolific retail theft and fencing while addressing other underlying issues of need-based petty theft, including addiction and homelessness. So because you're homeless, that means, and addicted, that means you have a right to steal? Mm-mm. No justification. If I can't afford something, I can't afford it. I've been homeless. I didn't steal anything from anybody. Never. When people are addicted, they need help. That's what they need. And a lot of people who are addicted don't want the help because they don't want to go along with the standards and the rules and regulations of the program. You can't go into a program thinking that you can be up in there getting high all day, and you're there not to get high. You're there to get clean and sober, to think with a mind of sobriety so you can change your life. I did 4 videos this past Saturday night about hunger and homeless in America. Check them out. So it doesn't give you the right because of addictive behavior. And many times when people are asking for money and stuff, everybody ain't that hungry. They're asking for money to support their habit. And they do it every day. Is there an epidemic? Yes. Is there a pandemic on the worst part of addiction? Yes, there is. And people who need help should be able to get the help that they need. You don't criminalize somebody because they have a habit of addiction. It doesn't matter how they got addicted. This self-righteous, judgmental stuff. What about doctors who are addicted to methamphetamine and other type of things? And they're supposed to be treating people, and doctors have an addiction habit. And then when they get caught, they want to blame it on they're burned out, they were stressed out. Doc, you're not supposed to become taking the product that you are subscribing to your patients to help them to stay clean and sober with. So that's not a plausible excuse. Now, Krasner has a major problem going into November. I'm not sitting here advocating, I'm just pointing out the differentiations between the two candidates because I did the same thing with Pat Dugan. So the task force collaborated with the Philadelphia Police Department and organized 1,750 retailers to use an app to report crimes, since the PDD has arrested organized retail theft crews. That's a smart thing to do. In the run-up to the 2024 presidential election, Krasner joined city officials in taking a strong stance against election interference in Philadelphia, invoking the phrase, quote, F around and find out, end quote. Any minute. If you all want a picture of Krasner, just go online. You'll see him. Since announcing his bid for a third term, Krasner has largely campaigned on promises that he is a threat to Donald Trump, and that if he wins handily, as he did in 2021, it could signal success for Democrats in the midterms. And what is wrong with the Democrats succeeding during the midterm elections? I have seen so many lying political ads coming from MAGA Republicans within the last 30 days. It's terrible. It's the same old bait. It's the same old lies, the same old lying promises, the same old tactics. They can't come up with anything new because they don't have anything new. In New Jersey, they have a gubernatorial race coming up to choose a new governor. A female and a MAGA candidate, Centarelli. They got a choice to make. He's already been endorsed by the current president, and Centarelli is 100% MAGA. So you already know what's coming to New Jersey if you elect him as your governor. So don't be shocked. Don't say that you weren't warned. Don't say that you didn't know. He's going to support Project 2025 in full force. And that's as simple as I can make it. That's what Centarelli is going to enforce. That's his goal. That's his agenda. And any programs that benefited, remember when was it Chrissy was governor? He got rid of everything that helped people. Everything. And this governor will do the same thing and worse. You don't know what unleashing the police is until he becomes governor. in New Jersey. Krasner is promising to continue his pledges of prosecutorial reform, including expanding alternatives to prosecution, reducing racial disparities in the justice system, and continuing to fight over harshly sentences. Are there racial disparities in the criminal justice system? You bet there is. And this thing about the so-called jury of your peers, that's an outright lie. I asked them during my trial, who are these 12 white folk you got up here? I don't know not near one of them. They're not a jury of my peers. I don't know none of them. My attorney said, well, they're going to find you innocent. They're going to convict my black behind and lock me up. That's what they're going to do. And that's just what all 12 white folk did. And see, I'm not in my office. If I was near my office, I would go get you the headline from the newspaper after the conviction came down and he found out that it was based on total lies and how stupid they look. I would go get it now, but I don't want to leave from the camera. If you want me to go get it, say so in the comments section, and I'll go get it. Give me a thumbs up or something. I'll take a quick break. I'll go get it, and I'll show you what the headline says. Because some of you think I'm lying. So it's up to y'all. If you want me to go get it, say so. If not, I'll keep talking. So there are racial disparities within the criminal justice system, whether people believe it or not. So he continues to pledge to reducing racial disparities in the criminal justice system and continue to fight harsh sentences, and says he reduced future incarceration years by nearly 50% during his first term. Well, put Dugan in office and find out what's going to happen. It's going back up. Krasner says he will protect democracy and protect the rights of Philly's immigrants. Not surprisingly, one of his campaign slogans, quote, F around and find out, end quote. Krasner was born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1961. He moved to the Philadelphia area with his family as a child. He graduated from Conestoga High School and earned degrees from the University of Chicago and Stanford University Law School. Before assuming the role, he worked for the Federal Public Defender's Office and eventually opened his own practice where he specialized in civil rights cases. In particular, he made his reputation on cases involving police brutality, suing the Philadelphia Police Department 75 times. Police brutality, does it exist? In some instances, yes. But they're backed up. Listen, they're backed up by the FOP. They'll never admit they were wrong. It's always going to be a justification. Quote, I feared for my life, end quote. Remember the movie Training Day with Denzel Washington? Hollywood loved that movie. They gave him an Oscar for playing a rogue, thuggish, out of control, corrupt cop. Hollywood ate it up. They loved it. Oh, this is a different side of Denzel Washington that we have never seen. But they didn't give him an Oscar for any of the other decent, family-oriented movies that he made. It's a stipulated fact, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, Krasner has been a 40% owner in a company that owes more than $142,000 in back real estate taxes for Center City property. So what's the point? Put him on a payment plan the way you do other politicians. Politicians get in debt every day, just like everybody else. When you and I get in debt, they want to come after us and try to take our lives. But when politicians get in debt, they have a special account When corporate America gets in debt, they file for bankruptcy and they reorganize and come up under a different name and then turn around the same stupid stuff that bankrupt them in the first place. Handle your business, Philadelphia, on November 4th. District Attorney's election is up for grabs. It's going down in Philadelphia. It's going to be Dugan or it's going to be Krasner again. You make the choice. Never surrender. Never quit.